Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I really appreciate you guys joining us this evening, and I'm extremely excited to be joined by a very hot prospect coming off a great win at FightersRep 22. It's none other than Mark Highlight Reels. Mark, how are you, young man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've been excited to talk to you, man, especially since, that last performance. And now, I feel like it's even more exciting because we've got you on this next card in California, too, for Fighters Rep 24, man. I'm excited to see what you're bringing to the Lions then.
Man, I'm excited to be there. Excited to be there. And I
So,
appreciate the platform too, by the way.
oh, for sure, for sure. This is what we do, man. We're trying to put you guys out there and put the promotion out there and keep building kickboxing,
Yes,
So,
sir.
I wanted to ask you about the last fight, man. I really enjoyed it, Mark, because
Thank
even though
you.
it was your first time in the Lions Den, and we've been wanting to work with you for a while. I'm not sure if you know that or not.
I've been wanting to
We'll
fight
talk,
for y'all for a while
and,
too, man.
we'll talk about that a
Yeah,
little bit, right? Because I
yeah.
heard some things, and so I'd definitely like to talk about that as well. But we've been wanting to work with you for a while, and I really liked that not only were you able to come out and show your skills, right? Because you definitely got some skills, right?
Thank
Especially
you.
for a guy that was debuting in the Lions Den. I mean, I really love that. But I felt like we really got to see your personality come out um, at the weigh-in, at the fight. Kind of tell me, the lead up to the fight. Talk to me about the lead up to the fight, when you got the call for the fight, what you thought about it. Take me through the process.
Well, so when I got the fight, so I had a fight for you guys in September that fell through. So when I got this next one, I was just like, all right, let's get to the fight. Like, let's get there. And
Yeah.
I was really excited just because most of the promotions around here are Muay Thai, which I do love Muay Thai and appreciate it, but I'm not the biggest fan of clinching. Not the biggest fan of clinching. I like to punch, I like to kick, I like to do all that stuff. So it was really nice to like have something I was super motivated for. Like I cared a lot. Before I ever even competed, like Fighters Rep was the promotion that I originally wanted to fight for. So it just felt like all the pieces went into the right spot.
I like
I never
that.
trained that hard in my life. Like I felt great. So it was nice to get there too.
Yeah.
And with the personality is just, I don't know, just trying to be myself. Just trying to be myself.
I what I appreciated about the personality, and I mentioned the personality because a lot of these guys, Mark, a lot of your colleagues, and it's fine, a lot of them just, want to come and fight and not
Mhm.
really sell themselves, not really show, they don't really show passion. Some people are more introverted. But with you, I was like, man, this guy's hungry, and you could
Definitely.
see it. You could see it at every level, like with every, open workout and the weigh-ins and the way you were face to face with Taylor and how you look like you wanted to almost fight. I was like, man, I gotta, I gotta stand between these two. Um, it was a lot of passion, man. It was a
Yeah.
lot of passion, and I appreciate you saying you wanted to fight for us. Where's that passion coming from? Kind of talk to me about that, because like I said, not everybody seems that hungry. I mean, we have a lot of hungry
Yeah.
guys, but you were especially hungry at that weigh-in, pun
Oh
intended.
yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah. Definitely hungry. um, I'd say it comes from just being such a fan of the sport. Like actually out in public, like if I go to the store or anything like that, I'm a pretty shy person naturally. But and not to get too deep into it, but I was going through like quite a funk for a time in my life before I started training, and watching MMA was just like it was my outlet for a while. And I won't lie, I like the show too. Like not just the skills, but I like the show. And I'd say that, deep down I've probably always been a show off a little bit. But I don't know, like the passion definitely comes from martial arts is what gave me like some direction in my life. and I understand that it's not just fighting. I love the fight part. And I don't want to be one of those guys that's like faking any type of show or anything like that. Like I'm not trying to fake no personality, but I do want to show people that I love this shit and that I'm working hard to back up anything that I do when it comes to media. Like I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody or anything, but I'm here to show people that I'm for real. So that's where the passion comes from.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really like that. I appreciated that. When you got in, when you guys got in each other's face, I was like, man, there's a
Mhm.
lot of heat here. It was a lot of fans on both sides, right? It was a
Yeah,
lot of fans on both sides. And even though, we're talking about two guys that are still amateurs, you're still young in the
super
game.
green.
You're only
Yeah.
24. You're only 24 years old still, relatively young for our sport.
Hmm.
But there was a lot of heat. Did you feel pressure with all those people on Instagram and everyone else talking? A lot of
Yeah.
them had your back, a lot of them had Taylor's back. Did you feel added pressure from that, or you kind of like that?
Pressure, no, I like it more because it makes it feel more important, I guess.
I, s- I see.
There, I feel like the pressure thing is kind of hard to add. Like there's already somebody that's gonna try and whoop my ass in front of my mom, so I just can't get more pressure than that. But
Yeah, yeah.
everything else that comes with it, like I love that.
You mentioned you were in a funk, man. I mean, is that something you want to share? You want to talk about? Because I think that's an important aspect of this sport, right? Listen, it's still my outlet, bro.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah.
my outlet.
Um, I guess like not to get too deep into it, but I've only been training for 3 years. This is my third year of training.
Wow.
So like in high school, like I wasn't like the worst kid, but I definitely wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And around COVID, I actually had a beautiful son, and that's when I found martial art. That's when I Okay, so this is what happened. I was watching like a whole bunch of UFC and and I was like in a little bit of a depression and part of me was just like I always wanted to find like a purpose. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a membership at the UFC gym and I'm gonna just go hit a bag and see what's up. And I was able to kick pretty high on a bag, like no training or anything like that. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm gonna be the best fighter in the world. And then I reached out to my buddy Khalil. We went to high school together. He's actually fought for FightersRep too. And he told me to go train at Systems. And I went
Silva?
over there. Yeah, yeah. I went over to Systems, got my ass whooped, and was like, oh, okay, this is a lot harder than than it looks like on TV. And yeah, it was just I've never been a disciplined person. I've never been like, and I'll admit that, like I never was doing the right thing, I would say. And martial arts and the people there, the people at my gym, like really got me on track. So it's like, how could I stop doing this shit when
Yeah.
this is giving me everything?
Well, maybe you just found something you really liked. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think that's the challenge, for a lot of young people. You got to find something you like.
yeah.
And I'm glad you did in order to, build that discipline too, right? Was there any athletic background at all before fighting?
I was a fat kid, bro. I was a fat kid but
For real?
yeah, I didn't play sports, but my dad was actually a boxer before I was born. So, and then he worked for the WBO, the NABO. He worked for a bunch of sanctioning bodies, and so I've always been watching combat sports, but
Yeah,
never. He didn't let me train because he thought it would make me like too tough or something like that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
found its way anyway.
So it's kind of in the
It's in the
DNA, man.
veins, man. It's in the DNA.
I love it. I love it. I mean, do you have any brothers, any siblings that do this, or is it just you?
It's just me, just
And you
me.
mentioned and you mentioned a kid, is boy or a girl?
A little boy about to turn
Oh,
5. Yeah, I know.
oh,
He's got
is
a pretty nice cross too. I got a little set of mitts for him. He's got some hands.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about too, because I figured, maybe that DNA is continuing, and it sounds like it is. Um, you know, you mentioned being a fat kid, man,
Yeah.
and we You did miss weight. You did
Yeah.
miss weight.
Yes, sir.
But luckily, we got it worked out because I mean, you guys are still very.
Because Taylor's a champ. Like
Yeah,
that's why.
Taylor's a warrior, and it's also a learning curve, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it was kind of. I mean, had you fought an amateur fight before?
Yeah. Not at
You had
that weight though. Not at
Was
that
it
weight.
you had fought two before us, or is that what it
Three
was?
at
Three.
Royal Combat.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So Muay Thai.
Hmm.
So they were hugging you up and doing all the stuff you don't like.
Hey man, I ain't gonna fucking say all that, but like it's on YouTube. You can watch it. Ain't nobody hit me like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's I do plan on doing like a live where we talk about kickboxing and
Hmm.
Muay Thai and stuff like that. That's why I prefer kickboxing too, if I'm
Hmm.
being honest with you, Mark. It's a 2 minute in the amateur round, 3 minute in the pro, and
Yeah.
for me, the thought of somebody just holding you for 2 or 3 minutes kind of takes away from the entertainment and the excitement of the fight a little bit. But I respect
I think
Muay
it
Thai very much.
depends. I think it depends at the level of the
Yeah,
clinching, because
yeah.
there's like when you look at the high level guys, that shit is nasty.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
not to give any shit to anybody, but I think it's when we're just getting started, the clinch does end up kind of like a hugging situation, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Are you still at Systems?
I am. I am at Systems. I teach there actually.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So I wanted to say too, I mean, before I mentioned or segueing into this next topic, I mentioned you being a fat kid, you making weight. Listen, but you look in great shape. I mean, I know you didn't make weight, but I mean,
Yeah.
you're shredded,
Thank
you're
you.
athletic, you had speed, you had great coordination. I mean, kind of tell me about that, man.
Training my ass off, man. My main training partner right now, his name's Robert. He trains with me. He's actually got a fight coming up, like a week or two after mine. And honestly, a lot of that came from the strength and conditioning room, doing a lot of sprints, a lot of athletic movements. We got like a little sled push in the back, and just doing the stuff that we don't really want to do. Like it's really fun to hit pads, it's fun to spar, but like doing the hard stuff in the strength and conditioning room, like that's where I credit most of that for. Like doing my road work, making sure I get it done. The weight cut, like man, I still think I could have made it. I was cutting weight at 24, and I was going back and forth between the sauna and the hot tub, and then they shut off the sauna because they said they had to clean it. And so we asked them like, how long is it gonna take? And they're like, oh, like 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, that's cool. We wait the 10 minutes and we go back. He's like, oh, it's gonna be more like 2 hours. We're
Oh
like, 2 hours. So then we pack up all the shit and we head over to the UFC gym because there's another sauna over there. And I don't really know how to cut weight like that. Like it's a bunch of people are in my ear telling me how to do it.
man.
So
Yeah.
my dumbass puts a bunch of sweet sweat on. I put my sauna suit on. I hop in the sauna, and I'm not sweating at all. But my skin is like burning, and like I was really trying to make that weight, and it just wasn't coming out, man. And it was one of the most embarrassing things because I like to be a man of my word. And just again, shout out to Taylor for taking the fight. Like
Yeah.
I was really appreciative of that.
We appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate him taking the fight, and
Yeah,
he was game, man, and he
yeah,
and
he
he had
was.
he had a good bit of experience. Man, I want to say he had like something like 10 PKBs, but
Yeah,
I think when you step and I tell people this in the community all the time, and I want to hear your opinion on it, right?
mm,
It's different.
it's
Um,
different. Yeah,
a PKB is different from an amateur fight, man.
yeah.
It's you're in the ring. There's a crowd there, especially if it's like a pretty good show. I mean, we had a big crowd
Hmm.
at that last event, and I think that adds a lot of pressure. Lights and everything else. I mean, kind of tell me how you felt in there, because I will say this. In speaking to Taylor afterwards, I mean, he did
Hmm.
great in the first round. He was really in there, and I just felt like he may have just he may have had an adrenaline dump. He may have gotten nervous. He just got tired, but you kept
Yeah,
strong. You
I'm
kept
not
going.
carrying that. Yeah.
Your conditioning was very, very good. Tell me how you felt about, how you feel about being in that ring versus maybe like a PKB.
Well, so I the I'd say I never really did PKBs. Like I started off full contact. My
I see.
first month into training, actually, I did like a MMA smoker, and it was ghetto as shit. So ghetto. But
Was it during COVID? Was
it
that
was
why?
during COVID. Yeah, it was during
Okay,
COVID.
okay. I
And
know what you're
if
talking.
I'm gonna keep it a stack, like I was not ready to fight either. It worked out well, but
Yeah,
since I started competing, it was always full contact. So I think that gave me like a mental edge already. Like anytime I've tried to compete, it's been fools trying to knock me out. And I'd say, but I've been to PKBs, and there's, it's big gloves. It's not in front of everybody. You're not like selling tickets or nothing like that. And it says literally no knockouts allowed.
yeah.
Like this fighting, one, I'd like to say I love the ring at Fighters Rep. I like that it's small.
Thank you,
I
man.
like that. And yeah, I don't know. I can't speak for him on how he felt. The way I feel is that he couldn't box with me,
Yeah.
and it's like, what's the other thing we can do? We can grab, and that's no knock on him. Like shit, if I got hit like that, I might be, I don't know either.
For
But
sure, for sure, for sure.
yeah, I think it is. Maybe it got to him. Maybe the right hand got to him. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. It's a
yeah.
lot. It's a lot fighting.
Yeah, no,
There's a
you
reason
were
why
you were
people don't do this.
you were the better man on the night for sure. I mean, your hands look real good. I will
Thank
say
you.
that your boxing looked good. That's also a thing I kind of talked about on social media recently, man. Kickboxing, the term boxing is in the sport, man. So if those hands aren't, if those hands aren't ready, you will be I think, at a tremendous
You can't
disadvantage.
you can't get nothing done by just kicking.
Yeah,
What's going to set up your kicks? How are you going to close the distance? Like you need to get the hands and the feet right, footwork too.
yeah, yeah. And I wanted to also, ask you about kickboxing because I know your coach, at least I believe he's one of your coaches, Rafael
Hmm.
El Monstro,
Yes, yes, sir.
right? So, he's from Brazil, great coach, and
Hmm.
a big kickboxing fan. I mean, me and
Yeah,
him have chatted a couple times. He's like me, he loves kickboxing. I know in Brazil they love kickboxing. I'm sure that's been a huge asset to your training, to your life, right?
yeah. Hafa, he's a big part of why I started believing in myself. So definitely shout out to him. He did a lot for me without asking for too much. I will say, like, we don't train with each other too much lately, but we always keep in contact with each other, and I always appreciate him for everything.
No.
Uh, he's the one that told me that you can't play spar all the time. You can't flow all the time on the mitts. Like there's like if you want to fight for real, like you gotta turn up the intensity, and he was always the one that brought that out of me. He don't speak too much English, so he'd be making noises at me and shit, like telling me like, "Come on, man, you have to go." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm dying, but let's go, let's do it." So yeah, definitely shout out to Hoffa, man.
Yeah, no, he's an excellent coach. So you go in there, you guys go to weigh in, you're face to face. I mean, it's
Hmm.
getting hot. A lot of people on both sides are chirping. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You guys kept it professional, but
Hmm.
you could feel, you could really feel the tension between you guys and in the fight. And Taylor, shout out to him, man. He was very confident too. I mean, he
Yeah, he
was he was
was.
definitely confident in his ability, but you were just able to get it done on the night, man. You were just a better man on the night. Tell me about the fight, how you felt during the fight and how you felt afterwards.
So during the fight, like, mm, I felt sloppy. Like, so when I went back after the first round, I went to my corner and I was like, "That was sloppy, huh?" And he was like, "A little bit, just a little bit." It was I was landing the right hand. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
Yeah.
I feel personally that if I did what I usually do in the gym, I would have got him out of there. I it's rough, man. You get 6 minutes to do all this shit that we've been working on in the gym. So I'm excited to get more experience so I can get more comfortable. That was definitely the most comfortable I felt in the ring, but I know it could be way more, and I know it's gonna be coming up soon. So I felt good though. Like I didn't feel tired at all. I could have went another 3 rounds. I felt it I knew I was winning the fight while it was happening, but I don't think I knew how much I was landing until I watched it after. It feels one way when you're in there.
Yeah.
What one thing I will say is like I could not get that fucker to stop grabbing me. I couldn't get him to stop
Yeah.
clinching me, and so that's definitely something I've been trying to work in my game. One of my coaches, Joseph, over at Nomad Thai Boxing, he's been making sure that big boys are clinching me up. So everybody at Muay Thai, don't worry, I'm gonna get my clinch up soon too. But yeah, man, I felt good, but I'm kind of glad that I haven't showed everything that I can do either. I'm
Yeah.
excited for this summer. I think you guys are gonna see. I know you guys are gonna see something special.
No, no, I was impressed. That's part of the reason I wanted you back on is because, I felt like that was probably the best you that people have seen in the ring
Hmm.
so far. Not in training,
Yeah,
obviously. I'm sure there's a lot more you have to show us, like you said. But I think that's the
in the ring.
closest, probably, to what you do in training that
Yeah.
you've been able to do in a ring so far. Why do you think that was? Do you think it was just the experience over and over again? This was your fourth go, or I mean, was there something about kickboxing? Was there something about the Lions Den? Was it anything like that? I'm not
I'd
saying give
say
me credit for it. I'm
no, no,
just saying,
no,
like,
no.
you know,
I will give you credit though, because like I said, it's always been motivating. Like I wanted to fight for Fighters Rep since I started. And this is
I
not me like
appreciate that,
kissing your
man.
ass or anything like that. It's the fact of what it was. That's what I wanted to do. So it was nice to finally get there. And there was a lot of things leading up to it too. Like I cut my eyebrow like a week before the fight, and I was working a lot too. Like I was doing a lot of coaching, and so it was just there was a lot of stuff going on, and I feel like once I realized there was a lot of stuff that felt like was trying to keep me from fighting. So once I knew for a sure that I was gonna fight, I was like, nothing matters now. Like this is all I wanted was to get here and fight. I had an issue with my cornerman too. Like my coaches weren't able to show up. Luckily, I had a buddy, Tariq Wright. He was there, and I've been training with his coaches too. So thank you guys so much. They were able to corner me last minute. So it was just like once I was able to get myself in the ring, it was like nothing. It don't matter now. Like I just want to fight.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I noticed the cut on your eyebrow, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, what's going on here? I mean, is this guy going to be able to fight? I'm glad they let you fight.
I had the beanie. I had the beanie.
Man, I'm glad they let you fight.
Yeah,
I
me
thought, listen,
too.
I thought it was a terrific performance. I just thought you were
Thank
one
you,
step
sir.
ahead. I mean, I don't want to say too much about it because again, I appreciate him taking the fight, even though the
Yeah,
weight issues or whatever. But you were definitely superior in there. You were one step ahead. You looked sharp, even though you're still green. It's still early,
yeah.
very early in your career. I felt like you looked sharp, and
Thank you.
I felt like your defense. That's something I was impressed with. I mean, besides your boxing and your kicking was good too. I was impressed with your defense and the way you've implemented your athleticism for your
Hmm.
defense. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I don't like to get hit, so I do work on my head movement quite a bit, and just definitely like I like that high guard too. It's just I've always been a fan of boxing, so even when I'm shadow boxing or doing anything like that, like I'm making sure my hands are right. When I'm hitting pads with my boy Robert, he trying to smack the shit out of me with the pads too to make sure I'm not tripping out here. So
Yeah, yeah.
definitely, you know, I want to have a long career too. I want to give myself that opportunity. So as much as I'm down to go out there and like run some hands and shit, I want to keep this thing going as long as I can. So
Which you
got to
did
keep the
show.
head.
Yeah, what you did show, I mean, which I appreciated. You showed aggression, you showed intelligence, you showed passion, and that's why I really, was excited to have you on. And I think
Thank you,
you're
man.
you're you're a hot prospect. I mean, I do think, I do think, kickboxing favors you, man. I'm not, I'm not trying to just keep you to
Thank you.
myself,
No.
although you're 100% welcome. But I do think kickboxing favors you very much with your style.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Before we continue, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment, share. If you have anything you want to ask or say to Mark, drop it in the chat. You could do it now live, and I'll ask him, or you could do it afterwards in the comment section. Also, if you want to drop a super chat, we'll split the profit with Mark. Anything you want to drop,
Oh,
feel free to do
cool.
that. We also have merch. Please get your merch below and join the channel to help us continue to build. And last but not least, follow Mark Reels at Mark Reels on
Yes, sir.
Instagram, ____. It's 3 underscores?
I don't know, something like that. But
Something like that.
if you type my name, you'll see me. You'll see me.
Yeah, you'll see him. You'll see him. So, Mark, you go in there, you pick up a win. I thought it was a
Mhm.
nice win for you, man. How'd you feel afterwards, man? I mean, what did your team say? How did you feel? How did it feel to get that win in there?
It felt good to get the win, but maybe not as good as I thought it would.
Yeah.
Just and not in a bad way, but it was just like, all right, what's next? Like that's immediately what I felt like after was just
Yeah.
like I gotta get back in there. And before I watched the fight, especially in my head, that was like the sloppiest thing ever. Like that, because you don't know until you see it. So like in my mind, I was just chucking overhands the whole time. Like that's how it felt in the
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
So but once I watched it, it was like, all right, cool. Let me not like get a big head about winning my first fighters rep fight, Like it
Yeah.
was just like I still got the shin guards and the headgear on too, so it's like I already know like there's a lot more work to do. So
Yeah.
just used it as motivation.
In watching it now, in hindsight, after watching it, I mean, did you feel like you did better than you thought when you were in the ring, or did you feel like you did worse? I mean, how did you do?
I feel like I did better than I thought I did, but I know I could have did way better,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, I thought. Listen, again, I thought you looked. I thought you looked pretty good. I thought you looked sharp, and we're definitely excited to have you back. And again, guys, you can get your tickets at FightersRep.com. Come watch Mark throw down against a very interesting
Mhm.
opponent in Anthony
Yeah.
Castaneda on June 8th. Get your tickets at FightersRep.com. Join the channel if you can't make it. But Mark, they should be able to come. There's a hotel
Oh,
at the
come
at the
on,
Commerce
man.
Casino, man.
You
Come
guys can
spend the
make
night.
it. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about Anthony too, man. This guy, he also impressed me at the last Fighters Rep, man. I don't
Yeah.
know if you got to look at him. Like
Hmm.
you, his boxing was very
Good.
nice.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited about this matchup, man. I feel like both you got some hands. I want to say you probably are going to have some sort of height advantage, maybe,
I think we're
maybe.
pretty similar. We're pretty
Yeah,
similar. We
yeah,
were
but
actually chopping it up in the back at the last
oh,
event. So yeah, it was like, you know, I think we kind of both knew like we could fight each other. But like, it's all respect at the end of the day, but I like his style.
yeah,
I like his style for me too, because I don't think he's gonna try and slow the fight down, with like all that,
yeah.
the clinching stuff. And yeah, definitely motivating to have somebody like him as an opponent. So it makes me want to train my ass off. I'm sure he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm excited about that fight. I think you guys are going to go out there and show some real
Hmm.
technical striking, and it's Systems Training Center versus Classic Fight Team. And I
Yes,
love
sir.
this. I love the matchup because you know, win or lose, man. I mean, this is why I make these fights, right? I feel like you guys are getting the best experience. This is going to be a great
Hmm.
experience for the both of you. You guys, I think he's a hot prospect too. And for you
Hmm.
guys to fight this early on in your career, I think it's going to level both of you up. And I think the next person you fight is going to have a real tough time with
Yeah,
either one of you.
yeah. And that's what I'll say too, is like, not that I'm not trying to win or anything, but while I'm an amateur, my goal is to go professional. So I'm not super focused on result as much as I am focused on performance.
Yeah.
Like that's the main thing. Obviously, I want to win. I'm coming out there to win. Don't even worry about that. But definitely focused on learning, whether I win or lose. Like I got to make sure that I allow myself to get better. after, not get stuck on a loss, not get stuck on a win. Just got to get better.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. We got Sarah Reels in the chat. She's saying, "Little sister of Mark here. How did you
Right.
feel about your performance after the fight? And do you feel like you utilized the skills you have been working on?"
Well, I think we kind of answered it earlier. I felt good, felt good, and I utilized one of them, the right hand. You know, the right hand was working. It didn't stop working. I didn't stop trying to use it. So
Is that
I'd say
something you
yes.
were working on, or was there something like new you were working on that maybe you didn't get a chance to use?
There's definitely some stuff. I'm not gonna really say too much. You know, there's definitely some stuff that I was working on. But the right hand, we're always working on that right hand, man. That's the money maker. That's the money
No.
shot. Um, But yeah, definitely didn't show everything I've been working on. But June 8th, tune in and we'll show you some of that stuff I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
drilling.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, this is another reason I wanted you on here, of course, was I don't want to get too deep into it, right? But
Mhm,
it came to my attention before I got the opportunity to work for you that maybe somebody in your orbit or someone in your entourage or something um, had said, I guess you had mentioned maybe fighting for us, and somebody maybe in your vicinity or something had said, "Oh, fighters rep, this the promoter's disrespectful, this and that, something like that."
mhm.
And it almost, maybe that was
Like
almost
at the event or
I don't know. That's what I heard. I heard it was said at another promotion, and I was like, damn, like they said that about me. Like I want this kid to fight for us. I don't want him to think,
mhm,
I'm some disrespectful guy. And then the coach who told me about it, told me he went up to
yeah,
you and said, he told me he went up to you and said, look, man, like fighters rep is strict, but they're strict because they're trying to be professional and they're trying to do things the right way.
mhm.
You
I think
should,
I know
you
what you're
should
talking about.
yeah, you should jump on
Mhm,
board. You should try it out. They'll probably love to have you. And let me tell you, I'm really glad that didn't affect our ability to work together. You know what I mean? So what I want to ask you is, now that you had the opportunity to compete with us, how was your experience at Fighters Rep? And it sounds like you're excited to do it again, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. You are coming
I
back June
know.
8th, but I want to know what you thought about the experience.
I thought it was awesome. And shit, man. I went out there and fucking missed weight, and you guys were still super, super respectful to me, like allowed me to compete, didn't talk shit to me or anything like that. You and Hung. So I'd say that it was awesome, man. Definitely like I immediately wanted to come back. And the fact that you guys are at the Commerce Casino too really helps. But everything was really smooth. Everybody was really nice. I felt supported too. I felt shown too. Like it was one of the coolest experiences I ever had. So definitely no bad mouthing from me. I'll say that. Nothing from me. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to do that, man. I'm the kind of guy, I don't I don't want to get into the drama much, but I do want to show with action that,
Hmm.
I'm about the fighters, man. I'm about putting people on the platform and trying to help them achieve whatever goal they're trying to achieve. I'm trying to build a sport of kickboxing. I can't do it without fighters
Hmm.
that take it seriously. So I want to work with guys that are serious about it. And you came off to me as a guy who is serious about the sport, along with
I
everybody at
appreciate it.
Systems. I've been working with fighters at Systems for years.
Yeah.
Since Dima was coaching
Yeah.
there.
Shout out
So
Dima. Shout out
big shout
Dima.
out to him. Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad you enjoyed the experience. June 8th, man, you're back.
Yes, sir. We
Um,
back. We back.
you're back, Anthony Castaneda. How do you feel about this fight? I know we touched on it a little bit, but how do you feel about this fight? And if you want to give a prediction, what do you think is going to happen in this fight?
Um, I feel really good about this fight. I think that our styles are meant to just go head to head at each other. And no disrespect, I think stylistically it's a good matchup for me. I think he's going to be the best fighter that I ever fought, and I'm going to train like it too. And I don't know about a prediction. I predict that I'm going to win. I predict that
Yeah.
I'm going to get my hand raised, but I don't want to say I'm going to go knock somebody out. I haven't
Right.
knocked
Right.
anyone out yet, so that's like the main thing I'm doing right now is learning how to knock people out. So I'd say my prediction: get my hand raised in a good fight.
Sounds good. And I wanted to ask you too, um, the Mark Reels that fought against Taylor Fox at Fighters Rep 22, does that Mark Reels beat the Mark Reels that fought in the fight before or in the one
Oh
before that?
yeah,
I mean, did you
he
feel
would have
like
beat his
you
ass.
leveled up?
He would have beat his ass.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So,
Definitely.
so you definitely feel like you're leveling up quite a bit still.
Yeah, the fight before that one, I hadn't fought for almost a year, so
I see.
definitely.
I see. I see. Well, I mean, Mark, very excited to watch you in there on June 8th against Anthony Castaneda. I agree. I think that, that's why we made the fight. That's why Hung
Hmm.
made the fight. And I said,
It's a
hell
good
yeah, let's
fight.
do it. Because
It's a
that's
good
a
fight.
great matchup, man. That's a great matchup. And
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you in there, man. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything, you want to say that you didn't get a chance to? Anyone you want to thank? The floor is yours, Mark.
I'll give a couple shout outs, man. I My boy Jesus from Systems, he's about to fight, so just know that I'm supporting you, brother. My shout out to Robert. Shout out to everybody at Nomad Thai Boxing, Joseph, Tariq. All you guys have helped me so much, so I really appreciate you for that. Everybody at Systems, Marcus Kowal, Angel Diaz, like everybody over there, all my teammates, Joseph, D'Angelo. Thank you guys. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. But yeah, that's all I really got to say, man. I'm excited to be back June 8th. We gonna get it done. We gonna throw some hands. And we gonna have some fun.
We can't wait, ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation. Mark highlight reels. Catch him in the Lions Den, June 8th. Get your tickets and live stream at FightersRep.com.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Mark, man. I hope you have a great night, bro.
You too, man. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.